Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today we're going to be playing Anthony R's Aluren deck list. I made some substantial edits to this deck list. For the YouTube members, it'll probably end up being about a 20-minute video talking about the changes that I made to the deck list. If you're interested in that, consider joining and becoming a YouTube member. Okay, talking about the deck itself, essentially the idea that Anthony had was to curve Teferi Time Raveler into Aluren. So the idea here is that Teferi makes your Aluren uncounterable, and you get to like bounce something in the way that might be problematic, and then you play Aluren and Acererak to finish off your opponent. And you have a Living Wish package here so that you can go and essentially have more than 4 copies of Acererak in your deck. So it's kind of like we have 6, and Living Wish has a decent amount of flexibility. Living Wish package makes this easier for us to sort of like hit our land drops and make sure we can get to things like Uro mana, while also giving us answers for everything from Merit Lodge to Ragavan to graveyards to artifact-based decks. Notably, this kind of started off as a really 4-color deck, and I tuned this to be closer to a Bant deck. We have a single Bayou that we can use to cast like Cavern Harpy and Plague Engineer, but most of the time we're looking to cast our black cards off of Aluren and sort of like dodge the mana cost that way. The original version did have Noble Hierarch. I ended up swapping them to Birds to Paradise to just kind of smooth things out and make sure that our mana was always good, because everyone hates losing games to just kind of like tripping over their own mana base. And there's still some rough things about this mana base even after I patched it up a little bit. Just kind of short version, you're trying to get snow permanents for Icefang Coatl. You're trying to get green, green, blue, blue for this. You're trying to have access to turn 1 white. You're also trying to still have access to black in the deck for a couple of cards. This means the mana base is kind of strained. Carpet of Flowers in the sideboard will help smooth that over a little bit. Because I already like did another video talking about this deck for like 20 minutes or half an hour or something while I was building and reworking it, I'm not going to kind of go into too much detail here. But just in case you're not super familiar with Aluren, Aluren is an enchantment that does allow both players to cast creature spells with CMC 3 or less without paying their mana costs. And so you in an ideal world will do something like play an Icefang Coatl, draw a card, and then use Cavern Harpy to bounce it, return it back to your hand, and use that to draw most of your deck. And then you can also just kind of go in for infinite with Acererak and infinitely drain out your opponent and do a couple other things there as well. So last time I played Aluren, I had a decent amount of fun, hoping to repeat that, hoping our opponents concede to the combo so I don't have to click through it. All right, anyway, if you're new here, please consider subscribing for Legacy, Modern, and Vintage content on the regular, and if you are a regular, please throw me a like or a comment or something. Those are the easiest ways to support my content or any YouTube creator's content for free. If you end up wanting to try this out or mess around with it or do a donation deck list, all that stuff is available in the video description. Let's battle. Okay, I'm looking at a do-nothing hand here. An easy mulligan. This isn't great. Like, I can keep this and pitch the Force of Will and then just hope that, like, Uro plus 3 fetch lands can do some bullshit. It'll also just be an Aluren away from comboing off, but I have no cantrips here, no ability to sculpt. It might just be better to go to 5. Not gonna do that. I'm gonna keep this, but this is not great. This is also a hand that, like, drawing a Brainstorm could very easily fix, or drawing a Ponder could easily fix. Drawing an Aluren fixes it. Even something like an Icefang Coatl that just, like, cantrips and gives me a turn 2 play is totally fine. Okay. That's just a Chalice. That does nothing here. Yeah. That's fine. What does Living Wish do? I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm going to cast it basically no matter what here. There's blue. The basic forest here. I'll cast this and then figure it out. I just grab Brazen Borrower. That's totally reasonable. I'll just grab Brazen Borrower. It also wouldn't be crazy to grab Plague Engineer to try to preemptively play around something like a Goblin Rival Master, but I don't actually know what deck my opponent is playing yet. Yep, Exhibit A. So I'm going to lose... Well, there's actually a world where I just lose the Uro here, and my opponent lets me Brazen Borrower. Uro is, kind of a jerk. Alright, cool. I am going to fill the graveyard surprisingly well here. There's an island. So, put this into play. Let that go to graveyard. Oh, the Living Wish exiles itself. That doesn't fuel Uro. That's a thing. I'm going to take 4 here and go to 16. Isn't actually that big of a deal. The opponent was waiting to pay costs there, and then they didn't do something. Alright, the second Acererak draw there is not fantastic. I just play a Plague Engineer. Is that my line? That seems fine. I'll fetch. I am probably going to fetch a white source here. Grab Savannah, then I can't be wastelanded off of green. Cast Living Wish. Yes, I'll use this ability. We'll grab a Plague Engineer and put it on Eldrazi. So my situation is fine. I'm in the situation where I can just like top deck an Aluren at any point and win. But here I am with all these Living Wishes that do not actually go to my graveyard. Guess I'm grabbing an Endurance. Yeah, I guess I'm grabbing an Endurance. Living Wish for Endurance, play Endurance, larger than Thought-Knots here. Crash in. I don't think my opponent wants to make this trade. No. Yes, I will use Living Wish's ability. I will grab Endurance and pass the turn. Okay, we got the very early concession there. So my opponent started on like a powerful opening and then just like did not hit more land drops. They're frantically drawing here. Obviously frustrated with that. I'm probably not going to board too much for this matchup. I probably want to do something about Chalice of the Void. I'm going to leave like a lot of this stuff in the sideboard. Like the Plague Engineer and Brazen Borrower are fine, but I want to be able to Living Wish for those. So I should probably think about either Force of Negation or Force of Vigor to make it so that I have more ways to get that stuff out of the way. The Chalices specifically. It's like they're annoying. Not unbeatable, but annoying. Endurance as a 3/4, generally speaking, is not going to be great. It's going to fall short of dealing with Thought-Knot Seer or Reality Smasher in combat. And if my opponent plays a larger, well, it does still wall like Matter Reshapers and sometimes Eldrazi Mimic. Oh, maybe I don't actually sideboard anything. I could sideboard out Cavern Harpy. I can do some cute things with like blocking and stuff, but I think I'm just kind of like looking to like not get got in the first couple turns. I'm gonna grab a Force of Negation and 1 Force of Vigor. I'll leave myself with an Endurance in the main deck. I don't know. It doesn't feel like I have to sideboard too much here. Yeah, this hand is totally reasonable on a number of different fronts. Like I have the Aluren already. I have an answer to an early Chalice. That's fine. Would I brainstorm in response to a Thought-Knot Seer to try and find Force of Will? Maybe. The reason I'm thinking so hard about that is because if my opponent specifically plays like a Sorceress Spyglass on their turn 2 and like hits this fetch land, it's super bad for me to not play this fetch land. But if they had a Sorceress Spyglass, they already would have done it on 1, right? Yeah, that's fine. So I should be expecting like Reality Shapers from my opponent. Reality Smasher. I am going to brainstorm for mana efficiency here. Alright, so I have Acererak and Aluren. I like everything here. I'm going to bury a Prismatic Ending, I think. I think I'm planning on, like, plowing through my opponent's stuff with Icefang Coatls instead. Right. This is going to fetch me a basic forest. And I'll be good to go. So I have probably dodged Thought-Knot Seer already. My opponent didn't play that out. I'm not sure what that means in terms of, like, what is actually in their hand. They didn't play Reality Smasher here. 5 mana for what? Oh! Well, I'll respond to that. Grab a snow-covered land. I'll cantrip. The redundant Aluren. That's not bad. Okay, there's another land. My 3 mana play just Uro. 3 mana play is probably just play Uro. I can fetch a land here. I have blue and green in hand, so it doesn't matter too much what it is. I'm just going to take green. This is now Death Touchy. I'll play Uro. Picking up a Force of Will is obviously insane. Now, outside of, like, Thought Not Seer into some other shenanigans, I'm just going to take this hit rather than trade this off, because I don't want my opponent to draw another card here. I think the game is over on my turn. Like, I have Aluren plus Acererak. Like, Cavernous Souls into Thought Not Seer would be really good. Otherwise, I think I'm just fine. They just countered their own Grim Monolith with Chalice of the Void. So, that's where we're at. Alright, picked up another land. This should just be it. There's Aluren. Here's Acererak. Okay, and my opponent has thankfully conceded there, so I don't have to click through this. GG's. Alright, this hand is kind of average looking. It has some early mana. It has the ability to sculpt a little bit. I can just play a turn 2 to Fairy if my opponent plays something early on that I need to mess with. I have something to pitch to a Force of Will. The hand, while maybe not doing anything just absolutely crazy insane, is solid. I'm gonna start with Delta into just a tropical island. I don't have a Ice Fang Coatl in hand that makes me want to have snow basics yet, and I'd rather just kind of have stable mana to start with. Oh, we're playing against Oops All Spells. I am very glad that I have a Force of Will. JK. Yeah, yep. There goes the Force of Will. Alright, there's a land. Let's try to find a new Force of Will. Finding a Living Wish is also not too bad. Yeah, let's just ponder. Well, that's it. So Living Wish means that I can pull either an Endurance or a Collector Oof. I will not have the green card to pair with Endurance for this turn, but I can hold it up starting next turn. It's just a question of, like, are they going to have the turn 2? I have 3 Force of Wills that I could find between 2 Ponders. Like, is this better? I think I just grab the Living Wish now and just kind of accept that I might die to a turn 2. Because if I cast another cantrip here, then, like, Living Wish for Endurance is not actually, like, live in this turn cycle to, like, set up anything for next turn. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So I'll fetch, clear the library. I'm not going to care about Death Touch in this matchup. So I am just going to grab another non-basic. Doesn't matter too much. It needs to be white. I have blue. Yeah, with Tundra I would have blue, green, green. That's fine. So let's Living Wish and grab that Endurance. Okay, there we go. Let's just see if we die right here, though. Okay, it comes in untapped. It's scary. Just like play out some mana or pass the turn or something. That imprinting, the Spirit Guide. Okay, you have the mana. I assume the answer is yes, since you imprinted a Spirit Guide. Oh, shit! The answer was no. I'm gonna hold up 3 mana for Endurance, and I'm going to cast a Ponder. I think I have to play my land ahead of time. No, I don't. They just junk this. They can't, like, Dread Return. They don't do their library. No, I don't have to do that. All right, Ponder. Oh my god, that is exactly what I want to see. Okay. So now I have access to Endurance with Force of Will backup. Ah. Does this matter? I don't think that matters. It allows them to, like, attack me down a little faster. Okay, so you've got the mana. That's fine. Oh, I see. So since I let this resolve, they can do it again later. I'll have to like Teferi bounce that back to their hand or something. Actually, what do they have in terms of like Cabal therapies? Also, is there a Pact of Negation in their main deck? So there's one Cabal therapy. So I can let them Cabal therapy me. 1 Pact, 2 Pact, 3 Pact, 1 Pact, 2 Pact, 3 Pact, 4 Pact. So I let them Cabal therapy me. I Force of Will Cabal therapy, and then I Endurance. The situation's actually quite interesting. I can also just Endurance now. I think I'm just going to Endurance now. Not mess around with potentially losing my stuff. Wish I had countered this. Fudge. Okay. So now I am going to lose to Therapy plus Thassa's Oracle. Assuming they name Force of Will. Oh, they named the Teferi that they knew about because that would be a blue card to pair with Force of Will. Yeah, if they knew this was a land, then that was good. Okay, that means that I'm dead here. Oh, there was a second therapy in the graveyard that I missed earlier? Or is the second therapy might have been in their hand before. Okay. I am dead then. Yeah. So I needed to counter the second Balustrade Spy. Okay, what do I want here? I'm going to want the Force of Negations. Those are obviously coming in. I don't think I need Cavern Harpy. The Ice Fang Waddles and Uros are both kind of slow. Prismatic Ending is medium minus. It can sometimes like get a Mox or something out of the way, but the opponent doesn't have like a ton of reasons to play that stuff out early, so I think I'm probably going to trim there. Electro Oof is probably okay to bring in. So now there's kind of a question of like, do I board in an Endurance or do I keep Living Wish as more copies of Endurance? I think I keep Living Wish as more copies of it. There's some other stuff here that technically has text that's kind of whatever. I think I am going to try to board in a Sylvan Library for like 1 Ice Fang Coatl or something. I already stopped Pact of Negation, but otherwise they're kind of medium. A lot of my cards are going to be kind of medium here, honestly. Okay, this has the ability to grab an Endurance on turn 2, but it's just Stone Cold Dead to my opponent doing something on 1 is also not great versus discard. I think I'm going to mulligan. This has a turn 2 play that's sometimes good. Is this fine? I think this is going to be fine. I have Sylvan Library plus Uro for if I actually do make it around the table. And I have 2 good turn 2 plays. So if I just eat a piece of discard on turn 1, I am not just immediately dead. I don't think my opponent can go for it without doing something disruptive. Okay. Ooh. It's fine. So, do I grab Savannah here so that if I top deck Prismatic Ending, it's live? Probably. Alright, there's the oof. So there is the dreaded 0 damage from Xantid Swarm. And we'll see if I just die here. I've shut off artifact mana, but there's plenty of other, like, ritual-based mana. Yeah, I'm gonna die. Okay, there's that. And there's the activation. I'll wait 5 seconds to just make sure that my opponent actually has me dead. There's a bunch of Narcomoebas. Where are the things that actually kill me? There's Thassa's Oracle. I don't see Dread Return, so are they targeting themselves? Nope, targeting me. But they do have 2 Cabal therapies. I figured that out before, so the second one can go with them. Okay, Fairy is a great name. That's something that could actually beat them. Oh, there's the Dread Return. Okay, yep, GG's. You got it. Round 3, I am on the draw here. I think I am going to keep this hand. I need more mana, but between my draw step and this ponder and my following draw step, I think I'm pretty likely to at least hit the second land drop, and I have just like my kill ready. So we are potentially playing against something like Elves or Maverick here. I don't know what exactly I would prefer, just being honest. I really don't want to get wastelanded, but I also want to save my fetch land if possible to make future cantrips better. I'm just looking for cantrips and land. Those qualify as cantrips and land. I will definitely take 2 of those. I'll want to brainstorm next turn. I'm fine taking this. I'll brainstorm with this. I can put back that redundant Teferi and just keep hitting my land drops and win on turn 4. Yeah, that's fine. I am basically only scared of like discard at this point. Oh, okay, so we are playing against like Grist elves. That's fine. Like there is a world where I just do get absolutely bodied by like my opponent comboing off. That's a lot of Teferi. I will send back 2 Teferis. So now I suspect I don't have to worry about Wasteland. We'll just grab another tropical island with this, I guess, then. Still got another fetch land to grab Tundra later. And Ponder. I don't actually need any of this. I would like a play for next turn. Well, I guess my play for next turn is just like Teferi and bounce some shit and make my opponent attack it. I guess in theory, like finding like a Force of Will would be better. Okay, that's a Living Wish. Oh, Living Wish is Plague Engineer. That's legit. Although since I fetched Trap twice, it's a little weird. Are these insects? Oh, just Wirewood Symbiote. Right, because it's 1+1 for randomly hitting an insect. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Maybe an Allosaurus Shepherd, probably. Means a Gaia's Cradle is fucking horrifying. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So my opponent is low on gas. That's the good news. This only buffs elves. Not actually as bad as it looks. I think the only way I'm going to lose this is if my opponent has Reclamation Sage in hand. Or if my opponent like does like a Glimpse of Nature or Natural Order based thing. But Natural Order would have just killed me last turn, I think. The ferrying something out of the way isn't particularly great here, because it just literally costs my opponent 1 mana. I don't know, like, I should always win when I cast Aluren into Acererak. I don't think the Plague Engineer matters anymore. I'm just gonna go ahead and fairy bounce something. So the question is like, what do I bounce? Do I just permanently kill this? I think I just take the Allosaurus Shepherd out of play because it represents an elf that can actually attack for 5. Well, that Force of Will is almost good. Okay. Bonus continue to tick up. That's counterable, but I don't have a blue card to pitch. Yeah. I'm surprised that one didn't come first. Okay. So this is going to kill my Teferi and hit me for 2. And then I'm going to murder my opponent with Aluren. Okay, they looked like they were going to do something and then didn't. Alright, land. Aluren. I mean, we try. Which is the one that actually hurts them? Mines. So we are going to repeatedly do this for a while and kill my opponent. Okay, thank you, opponent, for conceding. I very much appreciate that. Okay, so we want the Plague Engineer to stay in the sideboard as a Living Wish target. I know that my opponent has Grist. That makes me a little more likely than normal to want Force of Negation. Endurance is something I consider as something that can just ambush some elves, but I don't know that it'll actually be better than other things that I've got going on. I don't think these games are going to be long enough for me to really want Cavern Harpy. And I don't think Teferi's particularly great. Like, my opponent's putting things into play for 3 mana. Or sorry, for 1 mana, and like this Teferi bounce is not really where I want to be. I'm looking to just use like Prismatic Ending, Force of Will, Force of Negation, Ice Fang Coatl to just make it to turn 4, or preferably turn 3. I think since I don't care very much about like a Wasteland effect, I'm gonna just sub a Trop or a basic Forest here. Tumbling off might be important enough that I also just like play this Sylvan library in order to like just try to find the right cards. I can't really pay a lot of life, but it's selection. Alright, is this hand good? It essentially just has a Death Toucher. It has a Sylvan library to try to look for Aluren. I have no interaction. I think I'm just going to mulligan this hand. I think I can find a 6 of similar... I think I can find a 5 of similar value. This is fine. I think I just put back like a Brainstorm and a land. This lets me Prismatic Ending one of my opponent's things on turn 1, and then Living Wish for Plague Engineer on turn 2. Thoughtseize really punches a hole in this hand, though. Like, losing this Living Wish would fucking suck. Fuck. Yeah, alright. I want to figure out what's up. Alright, I mean, Ponder is totally reasonable. I think there's enough things that I would want to find and play on turn 2 that I should just do this. So, for example, yes, finding another Living Wish. So we're going to leave the Living Wish chilling on top of Library so that it can't be taken by a Thoughtseize in this turn cycle. I think Living Wish will usually end up being better. Nice, played around that. Will usually end up being better than just like playing out a Prismatic Ending. Ooh, opponent does not have a second land drop here. That's very good for me. Let's go fish that Plague Engineer out of the deck. Or rather, out of the sideboard. I mean, everything's on the table here, opponent. What do you have? Oh, that's rough. That is just a glimpse for a single card. That's not where they want to be. Alright, even naturally just drew a Bayou. I am just going to put this into play. I don't know how many actual answers to permanents my opponent has. Versus, like, I know they have discard, but I don't know whether or not they've brought in something like an Abrupt Decay. I do know Grist exists in their deck, so that's, you know, a thing that exists. I am willing to cast this Ponder. There's enough high impact cards that I can find. Yes? Yeah, I think so. I'll have that next turn. The opponent could block, do this, and then give it +2/+2, so I don't actually really want to attack in here. Yep, there's the tutor. And we'll see if I get punished by, like, a natural order for casting my Ponder. Ooh, I do. This is not actually going to kill me directly, though. This name enchantment? Can. Do I have to make this block? Probably have to make this block. I can just, like, find a Teferi and bounce this, and like, it's not actually that big of a deal. Let's get a Trop. Actually, do I want to start working towards Snowlands now? Green, green, I do want to start working towards Snowlands, because that's another way to take this thing out of play. Fuck me. I don't have too much time here. Alright. I will F6. I am probably effectively dead here. Oh, that's not bad at all. So I'll go down to 14. That's rough. Okay. Another Dryad Arbor. You do have a second Dryad Arbor. If my opponent attacks in with everything... Oh, these are just gonna get pumped. Because this is 4, 5, that's 10, 15 damage. That is just lethal damage already. Yep, alright, I see the writing on the wall here. GG. I mean, we nearly came back from Mull from 5. That's fine. Do I want another Teferi in here now that I'm on the play? Might be a way to steal some tempo back on the play. Maybe I do that over, like, Force of Negation on the play specifically. Like, this has lands and spells. I don't have anything that interacts with my opponent in a meaningful way. I think I need more interaction here. Yeah, I like this hand way better. I am going to just junk Brainstorm. Assuming that I don't get hit by discard, I like the things that I have going on here already. I will cast the Ponder on turn 1. I know I'm looking for, like, just more cantrips, basically. A cantrip plus 4th land is totally fine here. Now I have Prismatic Ending for my opponent's first 1-drop, if my opponent doesn't just, like, lead on Thoughtseize. If they do lead on Thoughtseize, I have a new cantrip on top to start fishing for something new to do, like an Uro. On that note, I wonder if it was correct to just, like, play a fetch land on turn 1. Alright, there goes Aluren. Ponder now? Fetch first? I'll Ponder now. It still lets me look at 3 cards total. I don't think I want a Prismatic Ending. Like, I need to work towards actually winning. Grab a basic forest here and respect my ability to actually just cast my spells and work towards Ice Fang Coatl. That's fine. That's just going to be a Dryad Arbor. Atlantic Ending is only non-land. Oh, just another Dryad Arbor. Be a savage spot for a Plague Engineer. Brainstorm is fine. This is also non-land. No, this is return up to one target artifact, creature, or enchantment. You just use this to bounce a Dryad Arbor and redraw a card. Here. I'll grab this. I'll have access to white off Birds of Paradise, and I don't expect Birds of Paradise to die, so I'm going to continue to work towards Icefang Coatl. There's Teferi. We'll just get that out of the way. We're really hoping to spike Acererak there. That's asking for a lot, but that's what I was hoping for. We're looking for Acererak and cantrips. Alright. This turn is likely quite bad for me. If my opponent finds Gaia's Cradle, I think I am absolutely screwed. Unless I top deck Acererak. Okay. Oh. Man, my opponent's glimpses have not been good. That's great for me. Also good for me that like my opponent didn't kill his Teferi, so I still have a little bit more flexibility in that regard. I'm not going to play out Aluren. A junk Allosaurus Shepherd here. I wouldn't chump block with a bird. I'll just do it like this. We'll hold the Aluren back until I can realistically just win the game with it. I don't want to like just play this out and then make like things like Teferi bounce worse. Like I can just lose to my board getting flooded. Play around one thing, get bitten by the other. I don't regret not playing that out though. Yep. Oh god, yeah. Glimpse plus Aluren. Scary. Alright. I'm F6 to do your thing. Okay, so my opponent is just killing Teferi now. They are not trying to maximize Glimpse value by any stretch of the imagination here. I mean, what they're doing is maybe fine, but I'm not just getting buried. Living Wish plus Aluren is 6 mana. I'm going to hold both of these for Brainstorm. Okay. So my opponent just bounced something, which makes me think they have, like, yep, yet another Glimpse. Sure. Alright, what else? Okay, this starts to get scary when like, my opponent can, like, potentially buy back the mana that they're using. Not that it wasn't already scary. Okay. Yep. Okay, and Wirewood Symbiote after that. I expect this process is going to kind of go on for a few more critters. My opponent can just, like, bounce Heritage Druid, and, like, untap Dryad Arbor, play that, yada. I have Living Wish Plague Engineer, which helps out a lot with what's going on here. But I am probably going to need to spike something next turn, or I can pretty much just concede. I guess there's some theoretical Brainstorm lines that could get me out of this spot as well. I wonder if I was supposed to play a land next turn to set up like some lines where I get to Brainstorm into Living Wish plus Aluren, but I wanted to be able to like maximize cards in hand. Okay, alright. Now that there's this many here, I'm just gonna play out one more. But I'm to the point where like a Natural Order is gonna be lethal, a large green sun will be lethal, an Allosaurus Shepherd will be lethal. Opponent's tapping black, so it seems like they're going to discard and then do their thing. Yep. I'm at your mercy. Like, just end me. Well, I've made a white mana. Oh, okay, so they just drew the Archon. Putting that on enchantment, I think, is just enough that I'm gonna go ahead and throw in the towel here. GG's. Alright, round 4, I've kept my opening hand here. My opponent notably has mulled to 5, so I think that means I can't really ponder yet. I think I just need to play this bird out on turn 1 and hold like these blue cards to potentially pitch to Force of Will effects. I think that if I'm anticipating that I'm playing against combo here, I'm just going to grab a Tropical Island. So if I'm playing against combo, then the like number of snow-covered basics that I have is not really relevant. Like I could be wrong, but oh, is it Elves again? So this is probably a Cloud Post variant. What am I doing with this Living Wish then? A Living Wish probably is going to get like an Acererak or something. Your Ancient Stirrings can resolve. I've got bigger fish to fry with that. Okay, it is Thespian stage. In which case, my Living Wish might want to get like Caracas or Brazen Borrower or something instead. Alright. I am going to start with Pondering. Or do I want to start with actually just playing Teferi? Just like having that on the board. No. I'm gonna Ponder plus Living Wish, I think. I don't think I want any of that. It's all fine. But we shuffled and ended up with the Cavern Harpy again. That's fine. Again, I can pretty cleanly get non-basics here. Trop. I don't expect Bird to die. I'll just grab another Trop. And then let's Living Wish. Yes. I have a Brazen Borrower. And then I will have an instant speed answer to a Merit Lodge, and I'll have a sorcery speed answer to a Merit Lodge. Sure? Okay. Fine. Alright, nice. I'm gonna get a little greedy here. I'm gonna ponder and try to find a land. We're looking for like land, Acererak, Living Wish. Fine. Like, is this gonna be fast enough? I think this is probably fast enough. Alright, so I'll cast a new Living Wish. Yes. Grab Acererak. The next turn I'll ponder and look for my 4th land, play my 4th land, play Teferi, bounce something that my opponent has played, and then I'll win after that. I am probably not going to get too many chances to counter things that matter. I'm just going to take this out. And this is specifically because I think I'm far enough ahead on tempo where that hit is fine. At least this can't be activated immediately. Alright, so, you know the plan. It's ponder. That land is fine. No shuffle. Play land. Play Teferi. We are minusing basically purely for the sake of minusing. And this Teferi also just gives protection to my Aluren. We're looking to dodge Thought-Knots here this turn. Okay, yep, no worries there. We'll get like an Iougin or a Depths or something. But we just have the win here. Guess I'll plus this first. Here's my Aluren. Here's my combo win. It looks like my opponent is going to make me click through it. I'm going to just pause the video here. Alright. So basically, my opponent wasted like 10 minutes of both of our times while I clicked through that. Yep. Value your own time and the time of your opponents on Magic Online, please. The client sucks. You know. Make it less miserable for everyone involved. I basically think I'm not going to sideboard for my opponent. I don't expect they're going to have too many things that actually interact with me. Gonna sub out a Trop for a Forest. That'll probably be about it. Again, I don't think Cavern Harpy is super necessary in this build after playing it a little bit. Just gonna sub in a Force of Negation, I think. Yep, this Goldfish is on turn 3. I will keep this. Okay, that's fine. Alright, Bird go. Okay, Brainstorm and Living Wish on turn 2, Aluren kill on turn 3. Okay, that's fine. So I guess I want to try to Brainstorm into like a Force of Will. This is fine. I don't need all this land. Put back 2 of those. Fetch. Just get Trop again. I'll go Living Wish. Warping Whale. Fine, I have another one. Sure, that's fine. Finds Emrakul. Warping Whale is fine. Okay. So my opponent can like do some things that actually sort of matter. That's probably not one of them. I guess I can Pithing Needle Misty Rainforest randomly. Okay, they're just naming Wasteland. They should know that's not in my deck. They can name Teferi with this one. Okay, they named Misty. I will go ahead and just Brainstorm here. Okay, great. We'll put back Misty and like an Icefang Coatl or something. It doesn't matter too much. Fetch here. Grab something like a Tundra. Play a Teferi. I'm fine with this. I will let you spend some mana to Pithing Needle my Teferi. Make it look like I have a Misty in hand that I want to use. Yep, that's fine. Yep. Sure. An interesting hand up their side of the battlefield. Sure. Okay. We should just have the kill here then. Alright. GG's. Alright. So my kind of shithead opponent here made me do this for about 5 minutes and then finally decided to concede. You wasted so much of my time and your time. Like, it was over. There was a Teferi in play. There was literally nothing you could do. Like, there is a certain degree of sportsmanship, I think, that should be expected of a Magic player. Like, GG, extend the hand, move on. Alright, final round here. I've kept an opening hand, which is, like, not overly exciting. I think this is, in a lot of cases, going to be a game where I just play a fair game and try to win with a pair of Endurances. Excuse me? Excuse me? Alright. I guess I'm fucking wrong. So, Wooded Foothills, huh? What kind of Wooded Foothills deck are you? Taiga? Lands? Ooh. Something spicy. So I know that the top card of my library is a land. I also know that I need this land so I can get to my 4th land. If my opponent is in Jund colors, I could have a card that I need to play around. Specifically a piece of discard. I think I'm just going to pass the turn with Brainstorm available. I miss out on the opportunity to cast like a Brainstorm or a Prismatic Ending on this Ignoble Hierarch. I'm hoping that doesn't matter too much. Alright, so there's another land from my opponent. We'll see what sort of horrors they have for me. That is scary enough that I respond and look for Force of Will. I didn't find it. Put back like an Endurance and a Living Wish and call that good. I need to not die this turn. There are lines that kill me from Ignoble Hierarch Food Chain. What? What? So my opponent is going to exile Fury to Food Chain. This is fucking wild. So that's 6 mana. Huh. Yeah, this is downright spooky. In the revealed zone, a Goblin Chieftain and another Fury. I mean, as long as my opponent can't literally combo me off with something like a Muxus, I think I'm okay. Fuck. That's haste. I am fucking dead. I believe. I haven't mapped it out yet. They sack Mog War Marshal. That allows them to cast the Goblin Chieftain that's in hand. Yeah. Fuck. Yeah. I mean, we got literally turn 2'd by Food Chain Goblins. That is the nuts. That was sick. Alright, this Plague Engineer that's in the sideboard is going to be pretty good. I think I want some amount of extra free interaction for the food chains. I think it's going to be Force of Negation over Force of Vigor. I'm not 100% sure, though. I think like every round I'm just going to board out Cavern Harpy. My opponent might have Wasteland. Do I want to board in the Brazen Borrower, or do I want to leave that as something I can wish for to take a food chain out of play? I think I just want to board it in. Also just something that can like bounce a Muxus back to my opponent's hand. If, that's not great, actually. Maybe I don't want this. I think I need to stop the food chain from actually hitting play. Yeah, let's get this other Force of Negation in here over like one random Ice Fang Coatl or something. I think this is gonna just be an all-out race. This has no land. Easy mulligan. This hand is fine. I think I'm just gonna pitch the Ice Fang Coatl and keep my removal spell for an initial creature that my opponent could play out. I'm already going to be very susceptible to Wasteland. I think I'm just going to lean in further by grabbing Tropical Island here. I would kind of like this Misty Rainforest. I don't really like a lot of the rest of what's here. I'm essentially just looking for Aluren and ways to find Aluren, and those aren't it. Okay. Found a Living Wish after shuffling. Okay. Oh. Maybe I did want that land, because the land is white mana for Prismatic Ending. My strained mana base. Okay, yeah, so I can't Prismatic Ending this because I didn't take that land. I don't regret that. Just didn't realize it at the time. So we will go Bayou, Living Wish, yes, pick up Plague Engineer, and we'll see if my opponent can turn to me again. You're just playing some dull Urobrew, I'll be sad. I am not. Okay. Is it happening? Okay. That's a Goblin Matron. I can find something big and scary like Muxus. That is a Goblin Crater Maker. That's something that can kill Plague Engineer, which is why my opponent is taking it. I don't want this. I think I'm just going to take my 3 for 1 here and just play this out. I'm going to play this and put it on Goblin. So that gets these 2 creatures, and then it also gets the Goblin Crater Maker. That's fine. Like, this buys me some time to try and find, like, my land in Aluren. I am in trouble if I guess this Brainstorm and I Brainstorm lock myself. Just throwing that out there. Expect this is the Crater Maker. Yep. Now you have 1 floating mana to just ping my idiot. Yep, I accept this trade. Ooh, so they have another 1-drop as well. Oh, a Lackey? Oh, it's a Skark Prospector. Sure. Living Wish. This Living Wish can cause me to hit my land drop if I don't find anything else interesting to do. I am going to start with a Brainstorm, though. That's not great. That is not great at all. I'll put back our Liches. I'll just trade 1 for 1 with the Skark Prospector. And then I'll cast this Living Wish. I have green. I have blue, green. I'm going to take the Ice Fang Coatl here that I boarded out. It's not Death Touchy right now, but it's just going to let me get through the 2 Acereraks that are on top of my library. The Cavern on Goblin means that like his Force of Will is not as good as I might want it to be. I can still counter a food chain if it happens. Oh. Okay. That occurs. Do I just Force of Will this? I'm going to have very few opportunities to actually cast a Force of Will and have it matter. Like, my opponent has to double Goblin in a turn in order to do that. I'm going to cash this in. It is an awful card to Force of Will, but I really think I am going to have very few opportunities to actually cast that card in a way that matters. Alright. I know my top card is another Acererak, so I don't need to just play the Ice Fang Coatl out immediately. Alright, there's the punish for my previous decision. My opponent has 1 card, though. That's a little annoying, but not super annoying. Yeah, my opponent played around like an Endurance or something there. Alright, there's my Acererak again. I guess I just main phase this. Okay, that's a Teferi. Not bad. Yeah, so my opponent just realized that my Ice Fang wasn't going to have Death Touch last turn. Am I the beatdown? Yeah, I wonder if I'm the beatdown. There's some worlds where I just end up, like, burning these Ice Fang Coatl sideways because my opponent just draws, like, a couple of lands in a row. Yeah, so we're going to trade, like, 2 damage for 2 damage. I can play Teferi, bounce an Ice Fang Coatl after combat, and then, like, use it to draw another card. I don't know if that's better than just, like, keeping the Ice Fang Coatls in play, though. This puts my opponent to 8. I am just going to force this card back to my opponent's hand. They can replay it and kill my Teferi. I don't care about that. I am essentially just trying to find an Aluren so that I can combo off. Alright, so there comes the Goblin War Chief again. Counterably, noticeably. So that probably means they have something like a Goblin Ringleader that they want to cast. What's that 5? Ooh. That gets scary quick. That kills Teferi and I take 3. I'll be at 10. Okay. Alright, so I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Teferi. I will bounce this Krenko, which unfortunately, like, my opponent will just replay and have haste. I haven't done the math yet to see whether or not I am explicitly dead. I don't think I get to attack here. As the drain off of Acererak is not the first thing in the order for these whatchamacallits. Uh the tombs. I can't just like attack for two, drain. I think I needed to hold those back in case my opponent had more goblins to play. I think I'm dead pretty much no matter what next time around. I go ahead and these all attacking me. Yeah, they're all attacking me. Alright. Let's trade these away. And then top deck Aluren. That is not an Aluren. I believe that leaves me with no outs. I'll see if I'm wrong. I'll just like fetch, thin the deck by one, play a new Teferi, keep this one. I guess like bounce Thorn. It's a bird. Yeah, my opponent makes 6 more goblins here. I am most certainly dead. I will concede. Opponent did not get to see that we were actually on Aluren there. Overall thoughts on the deck list. I don't feel like the white added very much. Like, Prismatic Ending is a powerful card, but in this league, I don't know that we used it to remove anything other than, like, a 1-drop. And Teferi wasn't super great in this deck. It allowed us to go off with Protection a couple of times, which was kind of cool. But because we have so few creatures, like there's 14 creatures in this deck, 2 of which, well, really 3 of which you can't really play, means that I'm not actually super good at ending the Teferi, and I only have 3 removal spells here. The Living Wishes don't go to Graveyard, so that's something that doesn't fuel Uro, which is something I didn't really realize when I was thinking about deck construction. This exact build of the deck I don't think is particularly well polished. I think this is better than what it started as, but I don't know that exploring white for Teferi is better than other options. Like, if you want to play white for Prismatic Ending, I think that's well and good, but I just felt like I needed more bodies this league. Like, all I wanted to do was just, like, assemble a Acererak and a Aluren. My Cavern Harpy felt pretty weak here. I have Icefang Coatls to bounce, and I technically have, like, Uros to bounce. But when you start cutting, like, the Parasitic Strix and, what is it, Umari Dreamstalker, or whatever that blue-black thing is, that can also go infinite with this thing. When you start cutting those things, Cavern Harpy just ends up as a value bounce engine. And when you really only have, like, 3 cards that you want to value bounce, I don't think that's particularly awesome. I will say that I did like Endurance for extra free interaction versus graveyard-based decks, and just like as a generic blocker that I could have in the main deck. But I don't know that I would recommend following up on the exact deck list that you see here. If you want to play the white for Prismatic Ending, I feel like you play the 4th Prismatic Ending, you cut the Teferis, you cut the Cavern Harpy, and you get a few more bodies of some kind into the deck, and maybe just play the 3rd Acererak in the main deck. That card is very good, just like drawing it with Aluren, having just a true 2-card win condition is really strong. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please click the like button. It's the easiest way to support me for free. If you're really enjoying, please consider doing a donation deck list and getting something fun on the channel. Have a great rest of the day. See ya!